Hello again. All right, it is time for math. So we've got some math review and then a new concept. Now, I know that you're probably looking at this. Oh, sorry, I keep doing that. Looking at this and probably like, oh no, that person or thing or the doctor or something, whatever you guys call me or something is going to come out. No, I don't know what you're talking about. And parents, I'm not sure if they start going, oh no, Mr. Dr. Miss something Monroe, Professor, whatever that is. It's not true. I don't know what they're talking about. But we are looking at our solving for the letter, solving for x. When you solve for x, what is the first thing that we need to do, third grade? You need to solve the known side, the side with the two numbers that you know. So you bring that answer right down, 63. And then carry everything else down neatly underneath it. Make sure that you stay neat, third grade. It's going to be hard to grade through papers if they're not neatly written. So keep your numbers in mind, how we write them, keep it nice and neat. After we figure out that x plus 13 equals 63, what do we need to do? We need to get x by itself. So we need to get rid of our 13. How can I get rid of 13? If I have 13, I just subtract 13 from it. So subtract 13 on this side, and what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So I subtract 13 from this side. That cancels out this 13, so that puts what by itself? Very good, my x by itself. And then I simply subtract 63 minus 13, 0, 5. So x equals 50. And after we figure out what x is equal to, what do we have to do? Plug it in, plug it in. Very good. We plug it in to the top part of our problem. For the x, we now replace our number that x is equal to. We don't need the x anymore. It's now 50. 50 plus 13 equals 9 times 7. 50 plus 13, 3 and 0, 3, and 5 plus 1, 6. 63 equals, what is 9 times 7? 63. And then we put a check mark to show that we did it correctly. Okay? Ooh, I don't know if it went all the way down to show that. Sorry, guys. I wasn't thinking very carefully with that. So hopefully you can see that whole answer there. Okay, do you see that? So that's what we're doing for our solving for x or solving for the letter. That's important. All right, so now you're looking at the next problems and you're thinking, listen, we already know how to divide. And yes, you do, because you're smart boys and girls. But I just want to make sure that we understand that today we are doing something a little bit different. Sorry, I keep messing around with this, trying to decide what would be the best way. I guess we could do it that way. All right. We're doing something a little bit different with our answer for it. So we are simply going to do our division just like we've normally done. Another way to write the quotient is, instead of writing a remainder, we write the remainder as a fraction. So what we do is we do our regular division, 15 divided by 2. How many 2's are in 15? Count by 2 until you get to 15 or something close to it, but not over it. Or make 15 marks, circle every group of 2, whatever works for you. But hopefully you already know 15 divided by 2, the closest thing that you would get to is 7. And so you put a 7 up at the top. Can you see that? I hope. Yes. So you put a 7 at the top. We do our normal multiply afterwards. 2 times 7 equals 14. Subtract 1. Compare, it is less than 2. There's nothing left to bring down, so we're done. But this is where the difference is. Instead of writing R period 1 at the top for the remainder, we're going to take our remainder and put it as the numerator. Numerator is on top of the line. Denominator is down below the line. Remember we talked about that with our fractions? So we're going to put our remainder as our numerator, and our divisor, what we are dividing by, becomes our denominator. So divisor, denominator, divisor, denominator. And then my remainder becomes my numerator. So my answer is now 7 1/2, okay? So when we are dividing now, we're not going to be writing R period whatever, unless it's like a regular problem, unless it tells you. So if it tells you to do it as a fraction, this is how you're going to do it. If it doesn't, you'll do it regularly. But make sure that you see that. Now we're going to look at 13 divided by 2. How many 2's are in 13? Well, hopefully you remember that would be 6, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Oh, 14's too big. So we have to go with 12. That is 6. After I write my answer, I multiply. 6 times 2 equals what? 12. Very good. So 13 minus 12 is 1. Compare. Is it less? It is. So I don't have anything left to bring down, so this becomes my remainder, but I'm not going to write R period 1. What am I going to do? I'm going to put my 1 as my numerator, and what becomes my denominator? My divisor. Divisor becomes the denominator. So 13 divided by 2 equals 6 1/2. Okay? So what's happening now is any number that is my remainder becomes my numerator on top of the line. Any number that I'm dividing by is my denominator down below the line. And that's all that you have to remember when you are writing remainders as fractions. Okay, we're going to do it a couple more times though, just to make sure you definitely have it. Yep, I think we're still good. So we look at how many 3's are in 23. Count by 3 until you get to 23 with your mouth as close to it as you can without going over. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. Oh, 24 is too big. 21. So there would be 7 3's in 23. Once again, we put our 7 at the top. Make sure to put it over the second digit, remember, because we went into both digits. We didn't go into our 2 because our 2 is too small. And so remember, we're not even doing the 0 anymore. That was just a placekeeper. We're just going to look at both numbers, 23. So how many 3's are in 23 is 7. You put it over that 3 in the dividend, above that 3 in the dividend, and then you multiply again. 7 times 3 equals, very good, 21. And we bring 21 underneath so that we can subtract 23 minus 21. Excellent, I heard you. And is 2 less than 3? It sure is. And there's nothing left to bring down, so we're done, except for we have our remainder. What do we do with that 2 for our remainder? I think I heard you. Very good. You put the 2 as the numerator on top of the line. So my 2 comes here. And what is my denominator? My 3, the number that I divided by. Excellent job. You guys are so quick. I knew you would get it quickly. So just make sure, one of the things too I want to make sure that we're doing and reminding you, make your whole number bigger than your fraction. So now our answer, remainders with fractions, that answer becomes our mixed number. Remember when we do our mixed numbers? So 7 2/3, make sure the 7 is bigger and the 2/3 is smaller next to it. Very good. All right, our last one. How many 4s are in 15? Count by fours until you say the number 15 from your mouth, or get as close to it as you can without going over. Make 15 marks and circle every group of 4, or know your 4 division table, and you'll be all set to go. So hopefully you've got 4, 8, 12, 16 is too high, so 3 is my answer. And what is 3 times 4? Good. 3 times 4 is 12. Good job, Avery. I heard you. And then subtract 15 minus 12. What does that equal? Equals 3. And we bring that down and compare it. Is 3 less than 4? Barely, but it is. So we're good. What do we do with that 3? We're not putting our period 3. We're putting the 3 as our numerator on top of the line. Very good. Next to our 3, we write that 3. And our denominator, which is down below the line, is the divisor that we divided by our 4. So our answer would be 3 3/4. Okay, got that? Super simple. I know you guys can get that. So that's your lesson for today. Pretty easy, right? I hope you'll do well on it. Looking forward to seeing your answers.